What is up, guys? Fatal82 proud to bring you a weekly Rust update video. Get prepared to get grenade raided early on this wipe cycle in Rust. Grenades are a much more viable raiding tool. They can now be attached to walls. By going up to a wall and using a bean can or a frag grenade, you can attach it by holding the right mouse button. And do it quickly, guys, because it will damage you and it can kill you. The grenades do predictable damage. They don't do splash damage to the building parts. If you throw the grenade, however, it will do the splash damage, so that's something that you guys just want to bear in mind. Overall, guys, this could be considered a buff to early game raiding. Raiding is something that needs to be definitely looked at, and this is a step to the early game that gives you more options. This might be just sort of a placeholder method, but we have asked Facepunch for early raid game options, and this is a step in that direction. It does come with some nerfs, because there were some nerfs to bow raiding. You can't raid doors with arrows anymore last patch, and this patch that's going to be extended out to spears. So if you're a fan of doing spear raids, that's going to be something that you can no longer do. So the explosive damage is going to be absolutely necessary for raiding. You can still do melee damage to building parts, so you can still hack them down with hatchets or anything of that nature, melee weapons, but they will break, and really you're going to want to be utilizing early game explosives like the bean can grenade and the frag grenade for your early game raids. And I think that's something that's really great, guys, because those grenades, those weren't used often enough, and this does make them used, well, they will be used absolutely a lot more because of the predictability of the damage with them. The throwing objects overall are going to be functioning much more differently this week in Rust. They now have their own damage categories, similar to the way that the bows were, but a little bit different. And the thrown damage will correspond closely to the damage that would be for the individual weapons with their melee counterparts. So that's going to be something that's more predictable, and that's a great iteration of that system. The thrown weapons will sustain damage as they hit targets, hit players, and will break and degrade with quality, so that's something that you guys want to keep in mind, because if something doesn't appear to be on the ground, it probably broke. So make sure that you're keeping track of the durability of those items if you can find them after throwing them. And guys, I gotta say, it's really hard to hit those targets, but all in all, very enjoyable, and I think this is a step in the right direction. It's making the melee weapons with their thrown variants feel very much more predictable and like their own distinct weapons, so I think that's really great. If you guys are fans of the semi-auto rifle like me, you're going to be excited this week because it has received a buff all around. The damage, the velocity, the projectile distance, everything is going to be increased slightly. It's not going to be a huge game changer. You're not going to be using it over AKs if you have a choice, but it's going to be more enjoyable and much more worthwhile in terms of the resource investment. Everything but the cost has been increased on that. This also comes in line with further iterations to the way that projectile velocity works in the game, and in terms of how it works really over time, or over space rather. Bullets are no longer going to lose quite as much of their power to damage players as they travel, and the distance of that's been lessened, so you're going to notice that it's more predictable at a longer range. It still will have diminishing returns and fall off over time, but that has been expanded out. Overall, guys, you're going to have a lot of fun using that semi-auto rifle this week in Rust. This is the new third-person animation jump in Rust, which looks like it's straight out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. A stat tracking damage system has been implemented into Rust called the Combat Log. If you guys hit F1 and pull up your console and type Combat Log, you'll get various stats which you can use for your own information or to provide the developers with feedback. A new shop front will soon be in the game that'll be a little bit more secure, and some graphic performances will hopefully be helping Rust to run a bit smoother on certain machines this go-around. The double barrel shotgun is one step closer to reality, and we saw it modeled in a 3D space here, and it sounds absolutely epic. What do you guys think of this, and what are you hoping? I'm hoping you can load each barrel differently with a different type of shell, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I really love how it's looking and even how it sounds. Really beautiful. Can't wait to see it fully textured. Speaking of early game raiding, you'll soon have another option, which will be a Satchel Charge, which is essentially a collection of bean cans. This will provide a higher blast radius and more damage than the bean cans alone, and this will be used probably to breach walls as well. Really cool stuff, and can't wait to see that in the game. There's going to be a new bus stop model, which won't be able to be built into, and we saw some glimpses of some new environmental landscapes that may be soon, new biomes that may soon make their way into Rust. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. Peace.